right. All right. Welcome back, YouTubers. This is In the Northwest Native News. I'm Jeff Ferguson.
I'm your co-host, Margo Hill.
All right. Good morning. It is another great day to be Indigenous. We are having all sorts of fun this morning. We got some great stories. Once again, we'd like to thank you for being here. If this is your first time joining us, we'd like to invite you to like and subscribe our YouTube channel here. We cover news and events for 11 tribes of the Inland Northwest on a national, regional, and local level. So we do some of the big stories that are relevant to you and relevant to sovereignty and many other issues facing Indian country today. Well, yeah. Indian country today, they
the Inland Northwest. We cover stories in all of our tribes. Whether it's political issues on a national level, cultural issues locally, sports, entertainment. You got it. We do it.
Artists, elders, yeah, and we're covering news for as far east as the Blackfeet, down south to the Umatilla and Warm Springs, Nez Perce, Nimipu country, over to the Yakamas, the Colvilles, up north to the Salish Kootenai, the Kootenai of Idaho. The Kalispels, the Spokanes, and the Coeur d'Alenes. I think that's all of them. Yeah. All right. So, that being said, we'd also like to invite you to check out some of our monthly episodes that we had going on for a while before COVID shut us down. We had some really good content that we covered over in Omak and Elmo and Welpinet and Gathering at the Falls and just a bunch of stuff. I think 16 episodes or something up, and they're full length, full at least an hour, and there's interviews in there, and there's artists. We went down and covered Leanne Campbell down on the Coeur d'Alene Res with her basket hat classes, and got an interview with Jeannie Louie. All sorts of stuff going on. So that being said, thank you once again for joining us, and we are about ready to get into some of these stories. What do you got going here?
Yeah, so it was a great story by Kip Hill at the Spokesman Review, covering Darlene McCarty. Spokane tribal citizen and Makah member. She was in a sci-fi thriller, Z Nation. It was shot right here in Spokane. So she earned international following as Nana on the Z Nation. And she, unfortunately, is battling cancer. She's right now undergoing surgery this morning. I've been messaging with her daughter. So our prayers go out to Nana. She is just an amazing person. Darlene McCarty, they shot the final episode here in Spokane of Z Nation like 2 years ago. But she just has a worldwide fan base that just won't stop, right? And she said, I don't want to have them forget me. I want all my fans to know that I appreciate and love Z Nation, said McCarty, a member of the Spokane tribe. Of course, fans of the sci-fi series know her as Nana Anouk. And she couldn't believe it got so popular, Jeff. You know of the filmmaker and the...
Yeah, well, they actually were on air it was a television show that was on air for 5 seasons, and it was shot all around the Spokane area, and Nana, Darlene got out there, and she was one of the wise elders, and she would smoke her pipe, and it goes on in this article, says that she only ever smoked that pipe in the first season and then never smoked it again. She just held it. But right now, she's asking for pen pals, to kind of keep her company as she battles cancer. I know that she's really a sweet, sweet lady, and I feel bad that this is something that came up, because she has always been so sweet, so kind to me. Anyhow, one of the things that they're doing, her and her daughter Barbara, they have a fundraiser going. They did a GoFundMe to help with some of the bills, and I know that they had some car trouble, and so they're asking people, some of her fans, to reach out. So if you got a few extra bucks, man, kick them down a little bit. Here's a sweet lady and her daughter, and they are one of those things that are kind of something that we would never really want to have to go through ourselves. And it was really neat of the inlander. You know, Colin Mulvaney took that photograph. I think he did a good job with it. And they did a really good story on this. So we'll leave the link to both the story and to the GoFundMe page if you want to contribute in the comment section below. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave them. We try to answer them as we go along in the live chat here as well. So feel free to post those too. So
yeah. So as part of that, you know, Darlene fell and broke her hip. And her arm, so you know she's going through surgery. Barbara's been right by her side, and she's just amazing. And so our prayers go out to her. I'm gonna try to sit down and write her a letter when I get a chance, and definitely donate.
Yeah, she's a neat lady, and hopefully this will help them out. So moving right along, Cowlitz Indian tribal member Rosalie Fish, she is in the news again. This neat gal here, she came up to Spokane. So we'll show this real quick. Show the quick GoFundMe page for Darlene. Doing pretty well so far. And then we'll go ahead and cut to Rosalie. Rosalie Fish, Cowlitz tribal member. She kicks off online educational series on equity and diversity and inclusion. Rosalie Fish runs in the WIAA championship at Eastern Washington University in 2019 in this photo shown here. As you can see, she has the red paint on her face, and she also had it going down her leg. Kind of an interesting story, too. I'll just go into real quickly that photograph. Both Alex Flett and I, shout out to Alex, another Spokane tribal photographer, were out there shooting, and he took a photograph of her from coming straight down the track and converted it to a black and white, but left the hand on her face red and left the MMIW going down her leg red. And within, like, I don't know if it was 24 or 48 hours, it was shared all over Facebook, like 5,500 times. And within 5 days, it showed up on ESPN sports page. And by the end of the week, it was up on the Yahoo Australia's sports homepage, which was really kind of exciting. And so she got a lot of attention and has since gone on to keep running. And so anyhow, this story comes out of the Daily News, and it's on Rosalie, and it goes to say that Rosalie Fish, the collegiate distant runner, activist for missing and murdered Indigenous women, and member of the Cowlitz tribe, will kick off an online educational series at 10:30 a.m. Friday, March 19th, speaking of resilience. The Southwest Washington Equity Coalition is hosting 12 virtual teach-ins on educational sessions to identify goals, promote action, and define change for topics like racial justice, health, public safety, and housing. For centuries, the Cowlitz Indian tribe lived in what are known as Clark, Cowlitz, and Lewis parts of Perce, Skamania, and Wakakiam counties. It took generations for the tribe to be federally recognized, which allows them to receive some federal benefits while remaining self-governed on their land. The March event will include a land acknowledgement led by Cowlitz Indian tribal member Tana Engdahl, and comments from Clark College President Karen Edwards. Washington Governor Jay Inslee has also been invited to speak, and Fish made her first headlines, as it says here, back in 2019 as a senior for the Muckleshoot Tribal School in the 2019 WIAA out of Eastern Washington at Roos Field. Okay. So, yeah, again, we will leave the link in the comment section below, but it's neat to see her. I know as a matter of fact, I know I'm just rambling now.
That's okay. It's Monday morning.
It is Monday morning. As a matter of fact, I did an interview for Inland Northwest Native News with Rosalie Fish after she had done that. So it was kind of really an inspiring moment, because that Sunday, I think I may have even told this story before, but she had gone out there and she came to play, man. She just smoked them in qualifying, and then came out on Sunday and brought a little like card display that had spaces for the 4 medals that she was going to get in the 4 races that she was running. I believe it was a 2 mile, the 1 mile, the 800, and the 400. And then she went out, and I thought, how bold. Who does that? Who says, I'm going to place in all all 4 of the races I'm going to run. And she actually went ahead and she took first place in 3 of the 4 races, took second. I think it was in the 400 because she ran all the distance ones first, and then the one that was more of a sprint race, she came in second. But that after that happened, because she was such a good sportsman, they gave her the sportsman medal, and so she actually ended up with 5 medals instead of the 4 she planned on. And then Gabe, another Spokane tribal member who had earned a medal at that meet, turned around and gifted her that medal too, again to raise awareness to the missing or murdered Indigenous women. So kudos to those young natives and the things that they do, and especially Rosalie. So.
Yeah, and we'll be looking forward to that teaching. Those are some excellent topics, racial justice, health, public safety, and housing. So shout out to the Cowlitz tribe. Thank you to the Daily News. Next, I want to cover the Namingha Institute at the Museum of Northern Arizona. Just a little bit about the Institute. It's named after the Namingha family who believe deeply into giving back to the community. So they want to nurture young artists, and the Namingha Institute celebrates region's diversity. So this is a residency program that will provide 6 selected student residents with a challenging and stimulating environment to explore their artistic interests through various media. And throughout this 2-week-long residency, students will have the opportunity to tour the Platinum LEED certified Easton Collection Center. It's a building. It's inspiration, beauty, diversity right there in the Colorado Plateau.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the work that they're going to post on that stuff. So we'll try and keep up with it. The deadline for the submissions on that is March 15th. And this is a hard deadline. It said that no late submissions will be considered. So be sure to make that deadline if you're interested. And again, comment section below will have the link.
Yeah, so students will be able to participate with some mastercrafts artists, and there'll be guest teachers and guest speakers, just really talking about successful career in the arts. So if any of you have young artists, encourage them to apply. Check it out. We were sent that notice by one of our own local artists, Charlene Teeters. National, but local to us, right? So yeah.
So cool. Thank you, Charlene, for posting that. Moving right along. Keep an eye out for this guy. I had a sneak peek real quick. Cusick's Colton Seymour scored 3 touchdowns, including a 98-yard run against Springdale today in a 28-12 victory for the Panthers in Northeast 1B play today. He is going to be one of the most dangerous players in Northeast Washington this year, and then batten down the hatches when he shows up on the basketball court.
So a shout out to Rob Seymour and Jolene Bluff Seymour from the Colville Nation, Rob Seymour the Seymour family, and then Bluff, of course, up at the Kalispel tribe. Real excited to see everything that Colton's doing and achieving.
Yeah, and thank you. I think that was on Native Sports Online. I think that's where we got that one. I didn't have the link there.
I think my niece Maddie Whitford also posted it. Mad Dog. It's all over Indian country. All right, Colton.
Cool. So moving right along, this one came out of Indian Country today, and this one is the Mashpee lands. Feds drop. Oh, I'm gonna go right here. Feds drop the legal battle against the Mashpee lands. This is actually Indian Country Today posted this, but it was Associated Press. Came out February 20th. The tribe's vice chair called it a triumph for the tribe and for the ancestors who have fought and died to ensure our land and sovereign rights are respected. Mashpee, Massachusetts. The Mashpee Wampanoag tribe scored a legal victory Friday when the U.S. Department of Interior withdrew a Trump administration appeal that aimed to revoke federal reservation designation for the tribe's land in Massachusetts. A federal judge in 2020 blocked the U.S. Interior Department from revoking the tribe's reservation designation, saying the agency's decision to do so was arbitrary, capricious, an abuse of discretion, and contrary to law. The Trump administration appealed the decision, but the Interior Department, on Friday, moved to dismiss the motion. In a filing in a federal appeals court in Washington, D.C., the Interior Department said it had conferred with the parties, and none opposed this motion. A judge granted the motion and dismissed the case.
Yeah, so this is great news for the tribe. We've seen that their tribal vice chair, Jesse Littledoe Baird, called it a triumph for the tribe and the ancestors who have fought and died to ensure the land and that the sovereign rights are expected. So they're looking forward to being able to close the book on this painful chapter of history, Baird said. And the decision not to pursue the appeal allows us to continue fulfilling our commitment to being good stewards and protecting our land and the future of our young ones and providing our citizens. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. This is a kind of a longer article, and most of it is really relevant to all of the details of it. I kind of want to cover this because, well, for one, we have the time. And for two, it's really interesting. I think.
No, it's important. We did at Eastern Washington University, we did a teach-in on this issue, disestablishment of reservations and federal recognitions. It's very important.
Yeah, this article goes on to say the Cape Cod-based tribe was granted more than 300 acres of land in trust in 2015 by then President Barack Obama, a move that carved out federally protected land needed for the tribe to develop its planned $1 billion First Light Casino, Hotel, and Entertainment Resort. So this is Cape Cod, so some of the prime real estate out there that we're talking about. The tribe learned in March 2020 the federal government was moving to reverse the reservation designation. The Trump administration decided it could not take the land into trust because the tribe was not officially recognized as of June 1st, 1934. That was the year the Federal Indian Reorganization Act was which laid the foundation for modern federal Indian policy, became law. At the time, the tribe's chair called it a sucker punch. The Cape Cod-based tribe, which traces its ancestry to the Native Americans that shared a fall harvest meal with the Pilgrims in 1620, gained federal recognition in 2007. Wow, that's kind of crazy in its own self. That's 386 years it took to get federal recognition, even after sharing the harvest meal with the Pilgrims. U.S. Representative Bill Keating, Democrat out of Massachusetts, he says whose district represents Cape Cod, applauded the decision to drop the appeal. The claim that the tribe of the First Light, the tribe of the first Thanksgiving, was not an original Native American tribe has always been disingenuous, Keating said in a statement, and the Trump administration's sudden attempt to remove their land from trust last March in the midst of a pandemic was heartless. This link again, Indian Country Today, Associated Press article. I think it was very well written, and I think that I think there's more to it, and I think it'd be really interesting to dig in and keep an eye on what happens with that, because that's a long time, holy cow, right, to be fighting for your federal recognition. Right. Yeah, so anyhow, I thought the 200 years that the Chinook tribe was waiting to get their settlement was a while, but here we're 380 years later. Yeah.
Well, back east, tribes face a whole different realm of challenges. It's a lot of work. And of course, I mean, we all know of the Wampanoag's history. We're very familiar with it, but they have faced, 500 years of assault, because they're back there on Cape Cod, and it's really difficult, and people just don't want to recognize tribes, and, the threat of giving up land or anything, it just freaks them out. And of course, the previous administration was, almost anti-tribal, if you will, in some respects. So, yeah, a shout out to the Wampanoags. Our tribal leaders, Jeff, they have to face so many challenges. In fact, today starts the National Congress of the American Indian. Their annual conference is happening right now this morning. They started out with some conferences on fighting addiction. Later this morning, they also have the Intertribal Transportation Association meetings happening. So that's going to be online. A number of the events are free. You don't have to pay, just get registered and they'll send you a link. Fawn Sharp is doing a State of Native Nations at 11:30. So lots of things happening in Indian Country. Tune into that. I believe the State of Native Nations, you just have have to register. You don't have to pay for the conference, but a lot of this is virtual. So you'll get some updates. I even heard Dr. Fauci is going to be visiting with the National Congress of American Indians, although you do have to probably register for that session. So anyway, National Congress of American Indians, our Indian leaders are fighting hard for our tribal sovereignty and working across the nation to protect our indigenous rights.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, I know Fawn is a very strong speaker, and to have her in there with Fauci, that would be interesting. I kind of wish we were down there. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, and I think I saw the link on Indian Country Today for that, the state of Indian Country. Is that
Yeah, so you can get that link and check it out and listen to the broadcast live. Remember, East Coast is 3 hours ahead of time, so if they're on DC time, that's 3 hours ahead. I think Fawn's might be like 11:30 or something.
She's giving that out of DC?
Yeah, is what I understand. Headquarters, the NCAI headquarters are in DC. So, so lots going on in Indian Country across the nation. I'm hoping to get some of the workshops. Of course, I teach class, so it's not always possible. Yeah.
All right. Well, that being said, moving right along, we have a story here on the first look at Nickelodeon's Lakota character on the Casagrandes. So this is kind of a neat story. Let's see. Here we go. It's right here. This is Charles Littlebull. Meet Charles Littlebull. He is a role model grad student in his 20s who wears his long hair in 2 braids. And today, when Nickelodeon unveils his character on the Casagrandes, he'll become one of the first Lakota figures to appear in a major American animated TV production. Why does it matter? It matters. His debut reflects Native American advocates' heightened campaigning to champion more positive, high-profile representation in media and news coverage. That's happening as they also push for sports teams to drop offensive mascots with stereotypical images of indigenous people. Consulting producers Lalo Alcaraz, who also worked on the Disney film Coco, has been an outspoken advocate for getting more Native Americans in film and in television. So that's kind of a neat thing. I think I got a little bit better picture. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, he's got some pretty strong braids going on there. And he's got, look.
He's a grad student.
He's a grad student.
Right on. He's tutoring some other kids. Casagrande, I think is the name, the Casagrandes. And it's real exciting. Some of the things that we're saying, people are excited to see Native representation in Hollywood. Real characters. Crystal Echohawk, she's the founder, the executive director of that advocacy group. So we've seen PBS do Molly of Denali. That premiered in 2019. That was centered on an Alaskan Native family. So the children's production focusing on a 10-year-old Athabascan girl. Excuse me. It really is a video blog about rural life and Native life in rural Alaska. And so exciting to see some of these children's series with Native American leads. We've had horrendous representation in the cartoons. You think of Peter Pan, and you think of some of these cartoons, Looney Tunes, how they portrayed Native Americans, racist stereotype, doing that stuff. And, geez, I almost cussed. All these characters, and they don't talk about our tribal affiliation or who we are as people. Just these ridiculous satirical kind of representation. So I'm starting to get all.
Well, growing up, I look back and we had the giant on the Super Friends, the guy that would turn really big, and he was an Apache, I guess. I don't remember that one very well, but I just look at how stereotypical the representation was. And then we had the 2 little Indian boys that always went after Custer, in cartoons. And, that was super stereotypical and super offensive. And then we had Tonto, we were kind of limited to what we had, and so I think this is a great idea. I think if it were my world, I think we would have a representative of each of the federally recognized and even the non-federally recognized tribes out there, and then have a big group of them, and they could just do all sorts of cool stuff, and show all the representation from coastal tribes to plateau to southwestern to southeastern, and the New England tribes, and yeah, that would be really Alaskan natives, Hawaiians.
Many of us grew up with old John Wayne movies.
Yeah.
And of course, the Indians are always getting shot and killed, and just ridiculous, wigs and all that kind of stuff, ridiculous representations. It's funny, Jeff, when I was in Russia, one of the members of the community there, I don't know if it was Novosibirsk, Siberia, if we were in Leningrad or Moscow, but they were like, when we were little kids, we would play cowboys and Indians, and we all wanted to be the Indians, so internationally, people are really interested in the Native American history. They want to hear our stories. If you go to Germany or France or Russia, they're really interested in the first Americans, the Native Americans. And so they love it when we travel. And we've, of course, had dance troupes all across the country that have traveled internationally. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I know, gosh, if you look at the statistics and the analytics of my YouTube channel that does the dance, where I have all the dancers, the jingle dress dancers and everybody, gosh, I look at there and they pop up from all over. People watching in like Argentina and down in New Zealand and Australia and just all over. It's pretty neat to see all of the different places that people are tuning in, and I get emailed multiple times throughout the year from people from all over the world that are watching and learning about our history and our culture, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah. Do we have any check-ins, Jeff? I know I want to give a shout out to Rhonda Harden from the Muckleshoot tribe. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday to Rhonda Harden. Next, I want to, again, we're giving a shout out to Darlene McCarty, her GoFundMe, and I just want to recognize Mary Beth Clark. Mary Beth, she is a national leader, a female leader in tribal transportation. She's really advocating for tribes across the Northwest to have money for infrastructure and do some of the work. So she's at NCAI leading the charge, and she sends out excellent policy emails. So again, shout out to Mary Beth from the Nez Perce Nation. She does just amazing work keeping us updated and advocating for tribes across the country, but really here in the Pacific Northwest as well.
So we do have a few shout outs. First of all, we have a update from Irv on the COVID numbers. He said yesterday's infections 55,195. Last time it was this low was October 17th. Yeah, and he also posts definition of tonto in Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish. Tonto translates as a dumb person, moron, or a fool. Wow. That's kind of crazy, Irv. I didn't know that.
I've never heard that.
I never heard that either, but it's one of those things. It's kind of crazy. So we also have some new subscribers, and one of those new subscribers is 6CSG9. So thank you for tuning in for us or with us. And Robert McCullum was a few days ago, and Jennifer DeGraffenried. Okay. So I think I shouted out to her before already, but I do know that we're up about 10 subscribers from the last show. So thank you for joining us.
So like and subscribe. And if you have any news and story ideas, just let us know.
Yeah, and be sure to share our page with your friends and family that may be, located around the country or even afar. It's a good way for them to keep in contact with the Inland Northwest, the Plateau, Columbia Plateau, interior Salish tribes, and some of the plains, a little bit of plain stuff too. Anyhow, I think that's about all I got.
Yep, that's our show for today, folks. Again, thank you, like and subscribe, and we're out.